Rashida Tlaib is a child, there's several children, a child of a Palestinian couple that immigrated to the United States from the Middle East. And you can see how grateful she is for the United States of America. She wound up in a crowded primary Democrat field when John Conyers was ousted. He'd been there over half a century or so, and she now holds his seat. She's one of the most vile, racist, anti-Semitic, anti-American individuals in Washington, D.C. And Joe Biden has praised her. Joe Biden has praised her intelligence and her passion and so forth and so on. He's never condemned anything that's come out of her mouth or anything that's come out of anybody's mouth when it comes to anti-Semitism. The other day, he was in Tulsa talking about the horrific events that occurred 100 years ago. Horrific events. No question about it. But there's nothing we can do about what took place 100 years ago other than be better people today. Other than to be better people today. And today, when there are things going on our streets, Joe Biden is silent. Today, when there is racism and anti-Semitism in our streets, Joe Biden does nothing. Now let's get back to Tlaib. Tlaib sees racism and anti-Americanism under every rock and behind every tree, as the Marxists do. And when you listen to her, tell me, do you see any difference between her and the co-founders of Black Lives Matter, Alicia Garza, Patrice Colliers? That's why we have to stop using this word progressive or democratic socialists. They're not progressive and they're not democratic. Nor are they socialists. These are hardcore Marxists, maybe not in every particular, technically speaking, but they are America's version of Marxists, American Marxism. Go.
I just want to ask one by one, yes or no. Are you familiar with the term environmental racism? I'll start with Chase Bank.
Vaguely,
are you familiar with environmental racism?
I said vaguely, yes.
Vaguely. Okay. How about you, Citigroup, Ms. Fraser?
The same, only vaguely. I don't know the specific definition of it.
That's fine. And how about you, Mr. Gorman?
No, I'm not.
Morgan Stanley isn't familiar. Okay. How about Bank of America? Are you all familiar with the term environmental racism?
Vaguely familiar, but seems.
Yep. Wells Fargo. Do you know what environmental racism is? Yes or no?
Congresswoman.
That's unfortunate. How about you, Mr.
Well, I know what environmental racism is. It's just another of these movements spawned by Marxism. Whether it's the environment, whether it's immigration, whatever it is, race, it has to have this Marxist connotation. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, here's what environmental racism is. The capitalist system is a racist system. And when we build roads and highways and refineries and everything, they are targeting minorities. So that's environmental racism. When we don't create situations in which all of our communities can breathe clean air and drink clean water, that's environmental racism. It's all done for the purpose of attacking minorities. It's all Marxism, folks. It's all BS. The reason why these corporatists have no idea what's going on is because they don't study this. On the other hand, they will embrace it in 2 minutes if it means a improvement to their bottom line. Go ahead.
Vaguely familiar, but not specifically.
Well, I want you all to know environmental racism showed its face in a deadly way during the pandemic in my district, where more of my Black neighbors died at a higher rate from COVID than any other community in Michigan, even though our Black population in Michigan is less than 15%. The pre-existing health condition.
Is that? Those numbers don't tell me a damn thing. Johns Hopkins, the greatest hospital, arguably, in the United States, is right in the center of a probably 90% Black community in Baltimore. The Cleveland Clinic, same thing, one of the best hospitals in the world. You look at the top hospitals in Philadelphia that I'm familiar with, they're in North Philly, West Philly. Those are heavy-duty Black neighborhoods. I can go on and on and on in this country. You don't find the best of the best hospitals, maybe the Mayo Clinic, but you find most of them in the inner cities because that's where they start and that's where they are. You have free emergency room access. You had free access to the vaccines. One of the reasons you had a lower rate of usage of vaccines in the Black community was because of some of these radical Black activists who told people not to use vaccines that were developed by capitalists, developed by white-dominated culture. You had Democrat politicians, Biden on down, raising serious political questions, unserious political questions about the nature of these vaccines, attacking Donald Trump. There can be a lot of reasons. It can be an entire mindset. Who knows? But it's not that people are being denied vaccines because they're minorities. Where's that happening, for God's sakes? Where's that happening? They're free. These places are available. You have CVS, you have Walgreens, you have Walmart, you have a Target. They're all giving them out for free. So I don't know what the hell she's talking about. She doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. But she has numbers, which may well be true. But the factors that go behind those numbers, she has no idea. Those haven't been analyzed. Go ahead.
That come from living in the backyard of corporate polluters financed by your banks. When it comes to racial justice, I see many of you having these commitments to just diversify your executive ranks. Good. But I think the American people really, truly want to know, what about the actions that are needed to invest in our communities like mine that you all profited off of, that left us with more pollution, decay, and poverty?
It's not because of the banks. It's because of the politicians. They destroyed. Let's talk about her city, Detroit. Detroit was the wealthiest, most bustling capitalist city at the turn of the last century and well into the 1900s. Then you had one-party rule take over the city. One-party rule, minority rule, but Democrat Party, always the Democrat Party, one-party rule, which you have today. You had riots in Detroit that destroyed industries. You had riots in Detroit that destroyed neighborhoods. They're still burned out. Some of these neighborhoods, it looks like World War II. You had massive taxes by the one-party rule Democrats that harmed the industrial heartland of the country, which is Detroit and Detroit's environment. And so they left, or they collapsed, because you can do that in this country. You can lose your business or you can move. So Detroit was a left-wing Democrat petri dish. That's why it was so horribly managed and destroyed. And you see it taking place in other cities today. And that's why the people in Detroit are in such extremis. I don't care how many programs you create. If you destroy opportunity and growth and wealth creation, you're going to get poverty.
For more, sign up for Levin TV.